The NHL has had many dynasties. But before the original six even existed, there was a dynasty that most people don't know about.
The Ottawa Senators were essentially dominating the early days of the NHL.
Early Senators were a powerhouse, winning 11 Stanley Cups over their early 1900s run.
Ottawa just ate everybody up.
Fast forward to today.
The Ottawa Senators right now are just playing meaningless hockey.
Sliced by Phillips and into the net!
The modern, expansion-era Ottawa Senators haven't a Stanley Cup to their name since the team was re-added over 30 years ago.
What are we doing here?
Every player on the ice has a 10-minute misconduct among other penalties. Every moment is a carnival with this team.
How did it get to that?
What will it take for them to break out of the shadows of their Eastern Canadian rivals? And can they regain their namesake's former glory and do the capital city proud?
And they scored! Breakaway shot! Scores!
You gotta understand that the early days of the NHL were nothing like they are now.
If you weren't at least one of the toughest teams in hockey, you didn't win the cup. The brawling and the fighting, I mean, it was stretcher cases. You just had to be superhuman to put a sweater on. You better have 5 or 6 guys that not only were talented, because there were no goons. They were goons, but they were goons that could play.
Those goons would end up winning the Stanley Cup for Ottawa 11 times over 24 years, cementing their legacy as an NHL dynasty. But at the turn of the decade, everything changed.
The financial house of cards collapses, and the overinflated stock market plunges into a Great Depression. A financial panic grips the world.
The effects of the Great Depression affected millions in the 1930s, and the NHL was not immune. The franchise was sold to St. Louis before it became defunct alongside other teams from Montreal and Philadelphia.
They just didn't have the money, the capital to operate.
The last time the city of Ottawa would see the Stanley Cup was their win in 1927.
And what you were left with in 1942 were 6 teams, which became the original 6.
The surviving teams, now known as the Original Six, played in the modern NHL for 25 years before the league looked to expand. In 1967, the NHL doubled to 12 teams and expanded again to 24 in 1980.
Hockey history was being made, and none of it had a damn thing to do with the city of Ottawa.
That is, until the 1990s. Home Alone was the #1 box office hit. Vanilla Ice, Madonna, Janet Jackson, and New Kids on the Block were flooded the radio waves. People dressed like this, and a group of underdog misfits went to Florida to try and bring the little Ottawa into the big leagues.
Take, I'm telling you, and this will be true. Ottawa's a place.
The NHL was looking to expand again in the late 80s. Ottawa locals Cyril Leader, Randy Sexton, and Bruce Firestone brought their case to Florida in hopes of getting Ottawa on that list.
We believe we're going to be successful, but until you actually hear the word, we're going to grant you a franchise, you never really know for sure.
There was a lot riding on this trip to Florida, and there were a lot of people who didn't think it would happen.
Oh, they said Ottawa was a government town, it could never support a franchise. Ottawa's too small, Firestone's 35, Sexton and Leader are 30 years old. Who are you guys?
No one thought it was gonna happen.
There was 5 of us positioned in this ballroom, and again, we didn't know what it was about. We didn't know they'd made a decision. Just said, wait here and someone will come and get you.
Board of Governors today have granted conditional franchises to the applicants representing the city of Ottawa.
The city went absolutely nuts. It was nuts for the next 2 years.
This is the biggest thing that has ever happened to the city of Ottawa.
After nearly 60 years, Little Ottawa had their own team again. An epic opening night was planned, featuring Roman columns, Alanis Morissette, and an opening game against the reigning Stanley Cup champs, the Montreal Canadiens. The local paper had the headline ready for the next day, expecting a Senators loss. Rome wasn't built in a day. But then...
Full marks to the Ottawa Senators, defeating the Canadiens tonight in their first game back in the NHL, 5-3.
It was kind of unbelievable that they had won that first game. They had arrived, didn't really feel real until you saw them. It was this motley crew of sort of misfit players. It went from kind of this dream to a thing that was really happening,
Was this the beginning of the team and city's return to Stanley Cup glory? No. No, it wasn't.
Reality hit quick. On the one hand, you're so excited to finally have like a hockey franchise in Little Ottawa. It was a huge deal. And then on the other hand, quickly just morph into like the laughingstock of the entire league. And
they were bad. How bad were they? Well, they made the ESPN Highlights of the Year, and that was Andrew McBain falling down the steps at the Chicago Coliseum.
It suddenly went from, there was that first game, we're storming back, we're going to win the Stanley Cup, to it just became like you expected them to lose.
They lost 70 games. I can't even imagine playing on a hockey team that lost that often.
Looking to reverse course, the Ottawa Senators put all their hopes into a draft prodigy, a young player named Alexandre Dage.
There was talk of him being the next Wayne Gretzky, talk of him being this elite scorer.
He's an incredibly skilled player. This is the young man that you could build a world competitive National Hockey League team around.
He was just expected to just lift the whole damn franchise to championship caliber, and it did not happen.
Hey, Deke shoots and misses the entire net! This was by far the worst team in hockey.
Even when their other draft pick, Alexei Yashin, lived up to the hype, contract drama kept him off the ice.
Yashin is Ottawa's #1 player and wants his contract renegotiated to reflect that.
Yashin came as advertised. I mean, he was a phenomenal player, and then he basically rejects the franchise. He holds out for an entire year. This is our first actual star player now that we've cultivated, and he doesn't even want to be there.
These things went a little bit out of control, and I don't have regrets. It's what I did.
But the Senators have suspended Alexei Yashin without pay.
When they finally landed a star in Daniel Alfredsson to help them get into the postseason,
The Senators are going to the playoffs!
they couldn't seem to get past their Ontario rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Leafs are 4-2.
Year after year after year. And then the money ran out.
Ottawa Senators, drowning in debt and unable to pay its players, filed for bankruptcy protection.
Money was always an issue for the team. They could never compare it to bigger markets like Toronto, Montreal, New York.
Little Ottawa's team was finally showing promise on the ice. But off the ice, they couldn't catch a break.
It owes millions to the NHL, to two banks, the CIBC and Fleet Boston, and to other major creditors.
They dreamed too big and borrowed too much.
A billionaire with deep pockets would swoop in and save the team at the last second as their new owner.
We're looking forward to bringing the Stanley Cup here sooner rather than later.
First, he was a little bit like a savior, a little bit like the guy who kind of saved the team from bankruptcy, made sure that the team stayed in Ottawa and didn't get shipped off to Houston or something.
Melnyk saved this franchise back then. Nobody else was stepping up, and he did.
This is the first time that we actually had money.
That we're going to throw a big party here, being able to manage to convince the Eagles to come to play a free concert.
Things were looking up. With a new owner and a few more playoff runs, the Ottawa Senators had finally made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Daniel Alfredsson ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
They had endured years of embarrassment in the 90s and years of disappointment in the 2000s. Finally, everything had aligned. They are back in the series fighting for the ultimate prize. Alanis Morissette even came back for Game 4. But that excitement was short-lived as they fell apart in Game 5.
In the second. Oh, it's lost by Phillips and into the net!
Anaheim has crushed their will to win. The sense of inevitability is there right now, and everyone knows inevitably they're going to lose.
Even with a few postseason appearances over the next decade, they would never come as close as they were on that night.
That kind of has felt like what it's been like for Ottawa a lot. A lot of pain, a lot of excitement, and it looks like they're gonna finally do it, and then it doesn't happen.
It was the end of the series and an end of an era, and their star players knew it.
I don't think I did anything wrong asking for a trade. I have my reasons for it.
This is the decision I make for myself. I expect there will be resentment and anger from fans, as I think there definitely should be.
It was just a decision I felt that was tough, but a decision I think that had to help myself and just move forward.
Even players who wanted to be there were being pushed out the door.
Very emotional and sad day for me and my family, but it's an unfortunate part of the business.
I understand how frustrated some of our fans feel.
You can't trade Erik goddamn Karlsson. Erik Karlsson is a generational talent. Danny Alfredson, Jason Spezza, fucking Alexei Yashin, Danny Heatley. Who else wants out of Ottawa?
And disdain for the former Savior GM started to grow after his actions and comments became more erratic.
I think the worst of it, why fans disliked him, is because we literally saved his life. He needed a liver transplant. He was going to pass away if he didn't get one. And a fan anonymously donated to him with one request: win us a Stanley Cup. And within a few years, he's threatening to move the team.
Did you ever consider them moving this franchise?
If it becomes a disaster, yes. If you start not seeing crowds showing up, yes.
He would turn around and threaten he was going to move the team in a press conference. He stopped doing any media interviews here in Ottawa.
The Sens have removed, this is true, 1,500 seats from Canadian Tire Centre in an attempt to increase demand for season tickets.
Right now, we're kind of in the dumpster. Everybody says, they're not going to do anything.
It felt like we were being disrespected as a fan base. And I think that especially hurts coming from your owner, because we're already a fan base that is in between Toronto and Montreal. So we get hit with a lot of disrespect from other fan bases.
Until finally, the fans had enough.
Recently, a viral fan-funded anti-Melnyk campaign installed 4 Melnyk Out billboards around town.
They formed coalitions, put their own cash together, and bought multiple billboards all across the city of Ottawa.
He has been the common denominator with why nothing was moving forward.
He became, at that time, I believe, in my opinion, the worst owner in the history of professional sports.
And it wasn't just the fans who were upset. Players were caught on camera making fun of the coach in a leaked video by an Uber driver.
We don't change anything ever, so why do you have a meeting? I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks.
The team was back to square one. It was almost like the last 30 years, the ups, the downs, the rebuilding, were for nothing.
The city right now feels like there's an absolute gut punch to it. And this is the most dejected and disheartened I think I've ever seen the city. And
What is going on in Ottawa? Are we in desperation mode here?
With nowhere to go but up, the team once again tried to solve all their issues in the draft with young talent.
With the 3rd pick, the Ottawa Senators choose Tim Stützle.
Stützle, one-timer, scores!
Super pumped right now. Ottawa's a great organization. To be a part of it now, it's an awesome feeling.
Scores! Brady Tkachuk!
I have a true passion for the game. It's what I love to do, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
I'm very proud to be here. It shows that guys want to be here. Guys want to be a part of it.
Thomas Chabot has his first National Hockey League goal.
Every time we ended up in a conversation, Ottawa just made more sense.
Hey, it's all about winning, eh? Way to stick with it there.
And a new roster of fresh faces wasn't the only change that was soon to come.
Ottawa Senators owner Eugene Melnyk has died. Melnyk had owned the Senators since 2003. The cause of death was not immediately known.
It wasn't always smooth sailing between the fans and Eugene Melnyk, but today the focus is on everything he did to keep the Sens here, to provide this city with more than 2 decades of hockey enjoyment.
It was truly a new era for the Ottawa Senators. With a new owner and a new team, fans were hopeful that change was really on the horizon.
I think the culture has changed, and I think the last little bit of that culture was changed when Ed Lauer took over.
Toronto, Montreal, both believe they're the center of the hockey universe. I've been the underdog all my life, and I know we have the team, fans, the community to prove them wrong.
I think there's a lot more buy-in on this team to believe in themselves, believe in each other. We've got buy-in, we've got a winning culture.
One of them scores! Forsberg with the save of the year!
I think that this is different.
Let's bring the cup back to Ottawa.